Hello, English students. Welcome to your English class number 26, Advanced Level. Open your PowerPoints and go straight to slide number 2, where you're gonna find expressions/slangs. Okay, so some expressions people use that you might know, but here we're gonna take a look on them. So let's see, let's go to the first one. Friends with benefits means people who know each other and engage in intimate relationship without really dating each other. Here in Brazil we say amizade colorida. Third wheel. It's an unwanted third party accompanying two people on a date. So it's that when you are on a date and one of the persons bring a friend along on the date. So this third party is someone who is not wanted for the other party, right? So this is a third wheel, so the third person on date. Underdog. It's a competitor thought to have little chance of winning a fight or contest. So underdog here in Brazil we say like it's a zebra. Wingman. It's a friend that you can bring to a bar or party in order to find women more easily. Okay, so this is like you have a friend that's gonna help you to meet other women, like it's a wingman. Of course, it could be a wing woman if you're like going on a party in order to find someone to date or anything like that. So wingman is that friend that goes with you to parties and help you to, get to know other people. Anyway, let's get started today on slide number 3. So this subject it's a little heavy, but they have many interesting stories, so I think it's nice to find out about them. So, did you know that most accidents, that air crashes, happen because of human error? Yes, so here we have 3 examples of it. So, one of the errors was just irresponsibility. The other error was a distraction, maybe. And another error was like a mistake caused by overwork. And the other one was because the person simply wanted to do it. It was on purpose. So actually it's 4 occasions when the serious air crash happened. Okay, so let's begin on the subject on slide number 3. Every time we board on a plane, we put our lives in the hands of the pilot. A scary thought, considering the vast majority of crashes occur due to human error rather than any other factor. And while these incidents are still incredibly rare, around 1 in 11 million, there have been tragic cases of preventable crashes caused by major blunders on the part of the pilot in the past. Let's learn about these incredible stories, incredible histories. Okay, slide number 4. Aeroflot Flight 593. A fateful crash occurred on March 23, 1994, during an Aeroflot flight traveling from Moscow to Hong Kong. The Airbus A310 went down in Siberia, killing all 75 on board. As was later discovered by cockpit recordings, Mr. Kundrinsky, third pilot, invited his 2 children into the cockpit in the middle of the night, Iana 12 and Eldar 15. Both were allowed to sit on the captain's chair and play with the controls, which should have been disabled as the plane was in autopilot mode. When Eldar held the control for full 30 seconds, it forced the system back into manual. By the time the captain and co-pilot had got back into their seats and seized the controls, it was too late. The plane crashed into the mountains below, killing everyone on board. So I personally don't remember this case, but it's amazing to think that something like that actually happened, right? All right, so let's go to slide number 5. TAM Flight 3054. So I think this one everyone remembers. TAM Airlines Flight 3054 was a regularly scheduled domestic flight from Porto Alegre to São Paulo, Brazil. On the evening of July 17, 2007, the Airbus A320-233 executing the flight overran runway 35L in São Paulo during moderate rain and crashed into a nearby TAM Express warehouse adjacent to a Shell filling station. Just one second. The plane exploded on impact, killing all 187 passengers and crew on board, and 12 people on the ground. The crash surpassed the 2006 Go Flight 1907 as the deadliest aviation accident in Brazilian territory and in South American history. On July 16th, the day before the crash, 4 pilots who landed at the airport reported poor braking, including a TAM pilot who managed to stop his aircraft just few meters before the end of the runway. Between 12:25 p.m. and 12:28, Infraero suspended operations at the airport to examine the runway conditions and cleared it after reporting no puddles. So they examined it for 3 minutes. Awesome, right? Continuing slide number 6. At 12:42 local time the same day, Pantanal Linhas Aéreas hydroplaned after touching down on runway 17R. The aircraft veered to left, struck a concrete box and a small light pole, and entered the grass between the runway and taxiway. All 25 people aboard survived with no injuries, but the aircraft was damaged beyond repair. Despite the incident, landings continued to be carried out normally at the airport. At 6:47 p.m., the TAM aircraft touched the ground without incident. It did not slow down normally, veering to the left at around 170 kilometers per hour. The aircraft crossed over over traffic on adjacent avenue and into TAM headquarters, resulting in a large fire. All 187 passengers and crew aboard died, and the aircraft was destroyed. In September 2009, CENIPA announced the results of official investigations. The report shows that one of the thrust levers which control engines was in position to accelerate when it should be in idle. But it was not proved if it was a mechanical or human failure as the cause of the accident. So this might be human and nobody really can prove. But I watched a documentary about it, and on the documentary they said it was the pilot who was not used to this new system. So the system he used before, you just need to pull down one of the levers, and in this new system you had to do it both. So maybe he got nervous because he was landing in that very hard runway who had accidents earlier, but we don't know. It might have been just a mechanical failure that didn't allow the pilot to stop the plane. Slide number 7, German Wings Flight 9525. The 9525 was a scheduled flight from Barcelona, Spain to Düsseldorf, Germany. The flight was operated by German Wings, a low-cost carrier owned by the German airline Lufthansa. On March 24, 2015, the aircraft crashed 100 kilometers northwest of Nice in the French Alps. All 144 passengers and 6 crew members were killed. It was Germanwings' first fatal crash in the 18-year history of the company. The investigation determined that the crash was caused deliberately by the co-pilot Andreas Lubitz, who had previously been treated for suicidal tendencies and declared unfit to work by his doctor. Lubitz kept this information from his employer and instead reported for duty. Shortly after reaching cruise altitude, and while the captain was out of the cockpit, he locked the cockpit door and initiated a controlled descent that continued until the aircraft impacted a mountainside. Oh yes, so this one was not so long ago. It was 2015, right? So we remember that case. Very sad story. Mamonas Assassinas accident. The band Mamonas Assassinas was on the peak of their success when an air accident entered the trajectory on March 3rd, 1996. Several factors contributed to the accident in Serra da Cantareira. Among them, the inexperience of the co-pilot, Alberto Takeda, who had insufficient hours for that type of model of aircraft. Another point would have been the fatigue of the pilot, who, according to final report of the Air Force, was subject to an exhaustive workday. Martins piloted the aircraft on March 1st from Caxias do Sul to Piracicaba, and on the 2nd it made the journey from Piracicaba to Guarulhos, from Guarulhos to Brasília, and from Brasília back to Guarulhos. Therefore, tiredness may have been the reason for the pilot to have performed the incorrect maneuver that caused the accident. The control tower instructed him to make a right turn when throwing, but he turned left. Exactly 50 seconds later, the jet hit the ground. All 9 occupants were killed. So this one I personally remember very well. It was very sad. I mean, every air crash is sad, like, and especially when you don't know personally, but you know some of the people who were there. It's especially sad. So here we're gonna see some curiosities. Not so much fun, but some curiosities. The first curiosity is that several players and coaches from Grêmio Football Club were initially booked on TAM Flight 3054, intending to catch a connecting flight in Congonhas and fly to Goiânia for a game scheduled against Goiás Esporte Clube. However, the clubs managed to reschedule the trip to the next day. Can you believe it? Like some people really escaped from the death on that day. Next one. In response to the incident and the circumstances of the co-pilot's involvement, aviation authorities in some countries implemented new regulations that required the presence of two authorized personnel in the cockpit at all times. So that's because of the Germanwings accident. So the co-pilot was alone in the cockpit. So this is not allowed anymore. Besides the new regulations implemented of the Germanwings accident, many other regulations were implemented after the air crashes. So this was just one example. Every time there is an accident, they investigate what caused the accident, and if it was something related to not human mistake, if it was like a mechanical mistake, they work to change it so it won't happen again. Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 was an international passenger flight that disappeared on March 8th, 2014. Flying from Malaysia to China, never to be found. The search for this plane was the most expensive in aviation history. So do you remember that case? This airplane, it just vanished. It disappeared, and they were searching like in the area where it disappeared, and they never found anything. So the government spent a lot of money trying to find the plane, but they couldn't. So that's a real mystery. Some people say that it was taken by ETs. Some people said they were hijacked. So we don't really know what happened. All right. So that's the class today. Hope you guys like it. And I see you in the live class. Bye bye.